All right, thank you so much. So, yes, because Adipati Prabhu already sang Jaya Radhamadhava, and there's so much to speak about Lord Balaram, we're going to skip Jaya Radhamadhava and just chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today is Balaram Jayanti, and so we are going to chant the verse and read the verse and then talk about Lord Balaram. Jai! So the verse is 10.33.31. Ishvaranam vacha satyam tatay vacharitam vachit tesham yatsva vacho yuktam buddhi mams tat samacharet. Oh, okay. Now I can only see your screen. Okay. Ishvaranam vacha satyam tatay vacharitam vachit tesham yatsva vacho yuktam buddhi mams tat samacharet. Ishvaranam of the Lord's empowered servants. Vachaha, the words. Satyam, true. Tata eva, also. Acharitam, what they do. Vachit, sometimes. Tesham, of them. Yat, which. Svavacha, with their own words. Yuktam, an agreement. Buddhiman, one who is intelligent. Tat, that. Samachare, should perform. Translation. The statements of the Lord's empowered servants are always true, and the acts they perform are exemplary when consistent with those statements. Therefore, one who is intelligent should carry out their instructions. Purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The word Ishvara is usually defined in Sanskrit dictionaries as Lord, Master, Ruler, and also as capable, potent to perform. Srila Prabhupada often translated the word Ishvara as controller, which brilliantly synthesizes the two fundamental concepts of Ishvara, namely a master or ruler and a capable or potent person. A master may be incompetent, but a controller is a master or lord who in fact makes things happen. The Parameshvara, the Supreme Ishvara, the Supreme Controller, is of course God, Krishna, the cause of all causes. Although people in general, especially in the Western countries, are not aware of the fact, powerful personalities control our universe. The modern, impersonal concept of the universe depicts an almost totally lifeless cosmos in which the earth floats meaninglessly. Sounds horrible, doesn't it? Thus, we are left with the dubious ultimate purpose of preserving and reproducing our genetic code, which has its own ultimate purpose of adding another link to the meaningless chain of events by again reproducing itself. In contrast to this sterile, meaningless world concocted by ignorant materialists, the actual universe is full of life, personal life, and in fact, full of God who pervades and supports all that exists. The essence of reality is the supreme personality of Godhead and his personal relationship with the innumerable living beings of whom we are samples. Some of the living beings are trapped in the illusion of materialism or identification with the material body, while others are liberated, aware of their eternal spiritual nature. A third class comprises those progressing in self-realization from the materialistic state of ignorance to the enlightened state of Krishna consciousness. That's all of us, just FYI. We're in that process. Reality is ultimately personal and divine, and therefore it is not surprising that, as the Vedic literature reveals to us, our universe and other universes are managed by great personalities, just as our city, state, and country are managed by empowered personalities. When we democratically award a particular politician the right to govern, we vote for him because he has exhibited something we call leadership or ability. We think he'll get the job done. In other words, it is only after an individual acquires the power to govern that we vote for him. Our vote does not make him a leader, but rather recognizes a power in him coming from some other source. Thus, as Lord Krishna explains at the end of the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, any living being exhibiting an extraordinary power, ability, or authority must have been empowered by the Lord himself or by the Lord's energy. Those directly empowered by the Lord are devoted to him, and thus their power and influence spread goodness throughout the world, whereas those who are empowered by the Lord's illusory potency are in an indirect relationship with Krishna because they do not directly reflect his will. Of course, they do reflect his will indirectly, since it is by Krishna's arrangement that the laws of nature act upon ignorant living beings, gradually persuading them through their journey of many lifetimes to surrender to the Supreme Lord. Thus, as politicians create wars, false hopes, and innumerable passionate schemes for the materialistic persons who follow them, the politicians are indirectly carrying out the Lord's program of allowing the conditioned souls to experience the bitter fruit of godlessness. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has translated the word Ishvaranam as those who have become powerful through knowledge and austerity, as one understands the nature and will of God and makes the personal sacrifice required to achieve excellence in spiritual life. One becomes empowered by the Supreme Lord to represent his will, which one has intelligently recognized and accepted. The Supreme Personality of Godhead kindly descends to earth to show a vivid example of religious behavior. As Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, if I did not execute standard duties, the whole world would be misled and in fact destroyed. Thus the Lord showed in his different incarnations how to act properly in this world. A good example is Lord Ramachandra, behaved wonderfully as the son of King Dasarath. But when Lord Krishna himself descends, he also demonstrates the ultimate religious principle, namely that the Supreme Lord is beyond all other living beings and that no one can imitate his supreme position. This foremost of all religious principles, that the Lord is unique, without equal or superior, was clearly demonstrated in Lord Krishna's apparently immoral pastimes with the gopis. No one can imitate these activities without incurring dire consequences, as explained here by Sukadev Goswami. One who thinks that Lord Krishna is an ordinary living being subjected to lust, or who accepts his rasa dance as admirable and tries to imitate it, will certainly be vanquished, as described in text 30 of this chapter. Finally, a distinction must be made between the Lord and his empowered servants. An empowered servant of the Lord, as in the case of Brahma, may experience a remnant of reactions to previous activities according to the law of karma, but the Lord is eternally free from any entanglement in the laws of karma. He is on a unique platform. Om Agyanatimirandasya Jananjana Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadadi Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yura Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagratatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savrutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi, Pranamami Hari Priya, Panchakalpatarubhascha, Prabhasantubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Nama Om Vishnu Paraya, Vishnu Pashtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamine Tinamine, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastachada Shatarine, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara, Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Jai. My husband's making me yawn. Okay, so yes, would love to talk about that verse forever. Would need a whole class to talk about that verse. But today is the appearance day of Lord Balaram. So we're going to talk about that. So on this very, very, very day, around the time of noon, Lord Balaram appeared to Rohini, the wife of Vasudeva, under the protection of Nanda and Yashoda in Gokul. When Baladev had appeared as the seventh child in the womb of Devaki, Devaki could understand that this was a divine child, and this made her all the more concerned about his safety. Even Kamsa could sense his potency, and he became fearful, thinking he may have been tricked by the prophecy that he will be slain only by the eighth child of Devaki. At this time, Krishna instructed Yogamaya, his internal potency, to transfer the unborn child from the womb of Devaki to that of Rohini, one of the other wives of Vasudeva, who was hiding from Kamsa in the house of Nanda Maharaj in Gokul. So that is how Balaram got to Gokul. And Balaram is the principal associate of Krishna in Sakhi Ras, friendship. So Krishna and Balaram, we must understand, they are one supreme truth. They are both God. One time they asked Prabhupada, what's the difference between Krishna and Balaram? Balaram is blackish and, Krishna is blackish and Balaram is whitish. Balaram possesses all opulences, Narayana, Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, they all expand from Balaram. He is non-different from God, but Krishna expands as Balaram, who is in the role of the servant of the Lord. He is the supreme servitor of Godhead. So he is serving Krishna personally and organizing and inspiring all others to participate in the Lord's pastimes. He is Guru Tattva. So Balaram is the original spiritual master. And if you want to really, you can definitely, in the Krishna book, right, read about Balaram's appearance. I highly recommend on this day that you do that. But I also highly recommend that you read, which chapter is it of the Adi Leela Chaitanya Charitamrita? Is it like the second chapter? There's a chapter about Nityananda. And so look up that chapter in the Adi Lila. It's one of the first chapters about Nityananda Prabhu. It's one of my favorite chapters in the entire world. It is so ecstatic. It tells you all about Lord Nityananda, who is non-different than Balaram. So he is serving personally and organizing and inspiring all others to participate in the Lord's pastimes. Yes, he is the original spiritual master. And what is the true duty of a spiritual master? It is to engage people in Krishna's service, because only through devotional service does our love for Krishna awaken. Krishna, he doesn't require our power, our wealth, our influence, our intelligence. In the spiritual world, Krishna only has one purpose. That purpose is to enjoy pastimes of love with his devotees. So he expands himself as Balaram to engage others in Krishna's service. Isn't that so beautiful? Because he wants relationships, because he wants love with all of us. He expands himself as Balaram for the purpose of engaging all others in his service. So it's because of the mercy of Balaram, it is because of the mercy of the spiritual master that we are able to engage in Krishna's service. And Balaram expands himself to be the Dham of Goloka, to be the Vaikuntha planets. And he actually personally becomes the clothes, jewelry, bed, seat, and shoes of Krishna. So I always tell when people are doing the backup service at Bhakti Center, which, by the way, if you chant 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles and keep yourself clean, you can do the backup service at Bhakti Center, even if you're not an initiated devotee. It's a very special service to Radha Muralidhar. Highly recommend it. I always tell those who do the backup service that you are personally serving Lord Balaram, because all of these clothes and jewelries that you are putting away and paraphernalia that you are washing in the pujari room is Balaram. So you're doing a very, very intimate service to Balaram. Isn't that amazing? So he is the source of the entire spiritual world. And he also, so he's the source of the entire spiritual world. And he also does the work of material creation in 4 other forms called the Chatur Vyuha, or the 4-arm forms known as Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. He executes the orders of Lord Krishna in the work of creation. So he creates the entire spiritual world and the entire material world. And in the form of Lord Shesha, he serves Krishna in various ways. And so he has appeared as Krishna's brother in many different incarnations, right? He appeared as Lord Nityananda with Lord Chaitanya. And when Lord Ramachandra appeared, he appeared as Lakshman, Lord Ramachandra's brother. And when Lord Ram was banished to the forest, he didn't say, okay, bye. He said, I am coming with you. I am coming with you to serve you. And he went with Ram to the forest to serve Sita and Ram. And a very important point, he served not just when things were easy, but when things were very difficult. He showed us what bhakti is about. We have to be servants of the Lord, whether things are good or bad. That is real devotional service, not just I serve when I am happy and when things are good, but I serve no matter what. Whatever position you put me in, I understand that there is always an opportunity to serve, because devotional service has no material impediments. And no matter what situation we are in, we can always serve. So he went to extreme lengths to serve Sita and Ram 24 hours a day. He would do things like collecting wood for them when they were sleeping. He would stay up all night guarding them. But when he had to do the very painful service of testing Sita's chastity by asking her to enter fire, he did it, even though it was painful for him. But he decided at that time, in the next incarnation, I think I would like to be Krishna's older brother, not younger brother. So that so Ram doesn't tell me what to do. So that's how he became Balaram, Krishna's older brother, and then Nityananda. But that same spirit of 24/7 service is there with Lord Balaram and Lord Nityananda. complete absorption in devotional service, and facilitating and encouraging devotional service for all others. So Balaram, he engages in all 5 rasas. Sometimes he acts as Krishna's servant. Sometimes he acts as Krishna's friend, playing with him and herding cows with him. And sometimes he's protecting Krishna like a parent. And also, Balaram, did you guys know this? He expands himself as Ananga Manjari, as Radha's little sister, a Manjari, to engage in Madhurya Rasa, or conjugal love. She actually has an abode in the heart of Radhakund, where she makes many intimate arrangements for Radha and Krishna's loving affairs. That's Balaram. When Balaram appeared in Gokul, soon after he appeared, Krishna appeared. And as soon as they were able to walk, they began to have their pastimes, especially their pastimes of stealing butter. And as they grew older, they took the role of cowherd boys and they performed unlimited pastimes. And by doing so, they taught us many essential lessons. Because why does the Lord appear? The Lord appears to have beautiful pastimes to attract our hearts and our minds and our consciousness to him, so we can be absorbed in him and develop our love for him. And through his pastimes, he teaches us so many lessons that we must apply to our devotional service in order to have the success of reaching Krishna Prem. So one day, the summer season is just beginning. And by Balaram's potency, the whole Dham is engaged in Krishna's service. So the atmosphere and weather was perfect. Krishna, very important point, he is most pleased when we serve his devotees. So what would the cowherd boys do? They would serve each other by decorating each other with minerals and peacock feathers and fruits and leaves. Krishna and Balaram would play instruments and their friends would sing and dance. They would hold each other's eyes and guess, who am I? They would throw fruits up in the air and then throw another fruit up in the air to hit it. So this propensity to play is only in us because it originates in Krishna and Balaram. And they would imitate the animals, jumping like the frogs. So one day there was a demon, Pralambasura, who disguised himself as a cowherd boy who had to stay home that day. So this demon, he came into the pasture grounds and acted, looked like, spoke just like this cowherd boy. Krishna and Balaram welcomed him, but Krishna understood he has come to kill us. Krishna played along, but he knew. So very important point, Krishna might let us play along with our Maya, but Krishna knows what's happening. He knows this person is in Maya. And in due course of time, the reaction will come. So Krishna and Balaram, they said, let's play a game where some cowherd boys get on the shoulders of the other cowherd boys. Pralambasura carried Balaram. Pralambasura, so they were supposed to run to a certain point and then stop, but Pralambasura, he kept running and running into the forest. And Balaram understood that this was a demon. So Balaram, he assumed the weight of Mount Sumeru. And then when he did that, Pralambasura, he was powerful. Pralambasura, he assumed his original form and he was decorated with all these jewels and he was very, very big. And he started flying in the sky with Balaram. So Balaram was like, okay, now it's time to kill this demon, basically. So Balaram closed his fist and in one blow, boom, he crushed the head of Pralambasura. All the other cowherd boys said, well done, well done. And the demigods showered flowers. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explains that Pralambasura represents an anartha that is within the heart of every conditioned soul that devotees must overcome. It is lusty inclinations and desire for personal gain or honor, aka gross and subtle sex life. Gross sex life is the mind's connection to the senses, right? Mind's connection to the senses. Senses want A, B, C. Subtle is desire for profit, adoration, and honor. And this anartha is literally trying to kill our inclination to serve Krishna, trying to take Krishna and Balaram away from us. And the funny thing is that people in Kali Yuga actually think that this anartha or these inclinations are their friends. They're like, yo, my senses are telling me to do this. Yeah, party, woo! But it's our enemy. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that certain anarthas, just by taking shelter of Krishna and his holy names, they will be annihilated. So we should always take shelter of Krishna and his holy names. But the demons that Balaram kills represent anarthas that we must have the grace, blessing, strength that is coming from the spiritual master in order to overcome them. So Balaram's help is coming through Parampara by taking the words of the gurus as our life and soul. Very important. Rama means one who gives all pleasures, and Bala means strength. Prabhupada said that Balaram gives spiritual strength, and anytime we need strength in our spiritual lives, we should go to Balaram. Also, the deity of Vrindavan at the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan, Prabhupada, he told the devotees anytime they had any problems to go to him, and Balaram will fix everything. I've done that many times. I've gone to Balaram at the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan and been like, Balaram, help me, please. I need spiritual strength. And yeah, I don't know. Actually, to be quite honest, he never solved the material problem, but he definitely did give me spiritual strength and spiritual emotion. And also one time the devotees were having a debate, who is stronger, Balaram or Krishna? And all the devotees were saying, a lot of the devotees were actually saying Balaram. And then they went to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, well, if you look at the deities, Balaram is resting on Krishna. So actually Krishna is stronger. So Balaram is super strong, but Krishna is even stronger. So powerful Lord Balaram, he is eternally in the spiritual world 16 years old. Sweet 16, right? Full of the luster of youth and has a fair complexion, the color of crystal. That's so beautiful. We always hear like white complexion, but like to actually think, like, I collected magic crystals when I was a kid. I was super obsessed with them. I still am. I think they're magical. And he is the color of crystal. He is the original crystal. And he wears blue garments and a garland of forest flowers. His handsome hair is tied in a graceful top knot, and splendid earrings adorn his ears, and his neck is splendidly decorated with garlands of flowers and strings of jewels. Splendid armlets and bracelets adornament Balaram's graceful and very strong arms, and his feet are decorated with splendid jeweled anklets. Lord Balaram's beauty is enhanced by the earrings touching his cheeks. His face is decorated with tilaka made from musk, and his broad chest is ornamented with a garland of gunja. Balaram's voice is very grave, and his arms are very long, touching his thighs. It's a symptom of a great personality that they have very long arms touching their thighs. It always explains Lord Chaitanya had very long arms, which then when you think about Lord Chaitanya raising his arms, how ecstatic that must be. So some other pastimes that Lord Balaram had. Dhanakasura, he was a very, very powerful demon who had assumed the form of an ass. That's a donkey. And with his demon friends, he was occupying the forest of Talavan. And out of fear, no one could approach Talavan and enjoy the numerous flowers and fruits in the forest. Balaram, induced by his cowherd friends, entered the forest desiring to kill the demons. He began shaking the fruit trees, making a big noise. Denika, furious at the intrusion, attacked Balaram with his rear legs, but Balaram easily picked him up by his legs and whirled him around until he died. As the other demon friends of Denika rushed to attack, Krishna and Balaram picked them up and threw them on trees, killing them. Soon the forest was free of all demons, and it appeared that the bent trees were being directed by Balaram to pay obeisances to Krishna. And the Denukasura demon Anarta. Let's see, a brief summary of the demons and the Anartas they represent. Amazing. So Denukusura, he represents the Anarta of gross materialistic intelligence, ignorance of spiritual knowledge. So if we want to get rid of this Anarta, we must take shelter of Lord Balaram through who? Thank you, the spiritual master, because Lord Balaram is the original spiritual master. And as the elder brother of Krishna, Balaram was the object of Krishna's love and respect. Once, when they were walking in the forest of Vrindavan together, Krishna observed the trees bending down as if they were paying obeisances. And he basically was like, look, Lord Balaram, they're paying obeisances to you. And he glorified Balaram's lotus feet as being the object of devotion even for the demigods. And he said that these trees, who had been impersonalists in previous lifetimes, witnessing the personal form of Balaram, were now praying for his devotion. And at other times when Balaram would get tired by playing, he would lie down the lap of one of the cowherd boys, and Krishna would personally massage his feet, fan him, and give him service. And such was the sweet reciprocation of love between Krishna and Balaram. Once, Lord Balaram, who was at the time living in Dwarka, came back to stay in Vrindavan for 2 months. And at this time, he enjoyed pastimes with his gopi friends, who were different than the gopis of Krishna. So Balaram had his own rasa dance with his own Krishnas. And enjoying such pastimes on the bank of the Yamuna at Ramagat, the Lord summoned Yamuna so that he could sport in the waters. But at first, Yamuna Devi, who is a person, did not respond. And Lord Balaram, he got very angry. He was also intoxicated by the Varuni beverage, and which is not like the intoxication we know in this material world. It's not against the regulative principles, but it's very nectarian for them. And he took up his plow and he began to drag Yamuna Devi in 100 streams. So Yamuna Devi's like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I made a big mistake. So she understood, okay, who is this Balaram? So she personally appeared and paid her obeisances and said many prayers, glorifying him and apologizing to him. And so thus Balaram was appeased, and he entered and bathed in the waters of the Yamuna River. Also, Samba, the darling son of Jambavati and Krishna, kidnapped Lakshmana, the daughter of Duryodhana, from the assembly where she was supposed to choose her husband. And the furious Kauravas, after a prolonged fight, finally arrested Samba by sending in 6 of their greatest warriors. When the Yadavas heard of this, they prepared for battle, but Lord Balaram pacified them, preferring to find a peaceful solution. However, when he requested the Kauravas to return Samba and Lakshmana, the Kauravas responded by insulting him and the Yadava dynasty. Understanding them to be ignorant in their false prestige, Balaram took his plow and began to drag Hastinapur into the Ganges. The terrified Kauravas now surrendered to the lotus feet of Balaram, begging for his mercy. They immediately returned Samba and Lakshmana and had them married ceremoniously with many opulent gifts. And then there was also this demon. Oh, Krishna, I was just listening to the lecture this morning. What is the name of the demon? There was this demon who was actually maybe you can remember, who was actually during the time of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes. He was actually a great monkey warrior. Vivida. Yes, Vivida gorilla. The original gorilla, I don't know. Anyways, he was Vivida. And actually during the Ramayana, he was a great warrior and he was a devotee of Lord Ram. So how could he have possibly become a demon, right? This is a very, very important lesson for all of us to understand. He became a demon because he became proud that he was like so good, and doing like such nice service for Lord Ram. He became so proud that he started to make offenses towards great devotees. And because he made those offenses, he was attracted to bad association. So if we make offenses to great devotees, we won't be able to have the association of great devotees, and we will be attracted to the association that is bad for us. And then when he started associating with people who were bad for him, he became demoniac himself. And so one time, Lord Balaram was having his rasa dance with his gopis, and this Vivida gorilla was like, I'm just going to like mess this up. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he like went and he was like passing stool and stuff like on them. And then he stole, like really disgusting. And then he stole the gopis. And then Lord Balaram had to like chase him down and rescue his gopis and kill him, right? So Balaram killed that demon. We don't want to be killed by Balaram like that. We should protect ourselves from false pride. And basically, this is an important point. In general, Balaram, he was equally affectionate to both the Pandavas and the Kauravas, and he accepted both Duryodhana and Bhima as his disciples in the art of mace war. And as a teacher, he appreciated the superior technique of Duryodhana as opposed to the raw strength of Bhima. And at the time of Mahabharata, he refused to take sides and instead went on an extended pilgrimage to the holy places. And in the battle between Bhima and Duryodhana, he became angry at Bhima for killing Duryodhana by trickery, but was appeased by Sri Krishna. And towards the end of Dwapara Yuga, thousands of sages assembled on the banks of Naimisharanya to perform a 1,000-year yajna in an effort to reverse the onset of Kali Yuga. We read about this in Srimad Bhagavatam. They appointed as their leader Ramaharshana, one of the main disciples of Vyasadeva, who was also present when Sukadeva Goswami narrated Srimad Bhagavatam to King Parikshit. But when Lord Balaram entered the assembly, understanding him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all present rose to offer him respect, except Ramaharshana, who was proud. He was proud at occupying the position of the leader, and he did not get up. So if we think, I'm such a great speaker, that is very bad, very, very bad. Lord Balaram could understand that even though Ramaharshana was an expert Vedantist, he had not yet realized these teachings. Considering him unqualified to lead the ceremony, Balaram touched him with what? Does anybody know what he touched him with? Yes, just with a blade of grass. We don't really normally consider a blade of grass to be a very dangerous thing. But Balaram is so powerful. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can do anything. So he just took a blade of grass, and that blade of grass made him die. And then he instituted Sutta, the son of Ramaharshana, as the leader of the assembly and continued with his pilgrimage. Yes. And one other thing, last thing, then we'll talk. In Satya Yuga, there was a king named Raivata, whose daughter Revati was excellent in all respects. Unable to find a match suitable for her, the king took her to the court of Brahma for his advice. And after waiting for some time, when the king met with Brahma, he was shocked to learn that in the short time he spent in the Brahmaloka, millions of years had already passed on earth, and at the time Dwapara Yuga was concluding. However, Lord Brahma informed King Raivata that present at this time was Lord Balaram, who was more than qualified to be the husband of Revati. King Raivata returned and approached Balaram to accept Revati as his wife. However, Revati belonged to an earlier yuga when people were much larger physically. So she was bigger than Lord Balaram. So Lord Balaram, what did he do? So Lord Balaram took his plow and placed it on her head until she shrunk to an appropriate size to be his wife. And then he accepted her as his wife. Isn't that so cute? Right? Because I mean, he didn't want his wife to be like way bigger than him. So I'm done. Thank you so much. Balaram ki. We have 5 minutes before we start. Today we're having Guru Puja first and then Darshan, so that Nandini can have more time to make Krishna beautiful. So we have 5 minutes. If there's any questions, comments, corrections, discussion. Online or in person.
Was that the same one with the Champakalata?
Vivida?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Do you know?
That's the one.
Was Vivida the same one who had the Shamataka jewel? I don't think so. Yeah.
What's his name? What?
Yeah.
He
It was
had
not Vivida.
he had it, but then a lion killed him, and then Dravida killed the lion and got the jewel.
What?
Right?
That's Krishna.
What's his name?
That's Krishna and Satyavama's father. Yeah, this was like Bharaka.
What's that?
Before the jewel appeared, it was, it's, there's three lines.
What is it? I couldn't hear.
What is the question?
I'm just wondering if that Dravida was the one with the jewel.
Vivida is not deal with the Shankas, with this jewel.
I guess it wasn't
Yes,
such a good
it's
question.
it's another demon, another topic,
Another pastime?
another pastime. Yes,
There was somebody in Dravida who had the jewel, right? No?
no,
He had his daughter had the jewel, and then Krishna came.
Krishna, do you want to explain?
what is the question? Vivida has.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, Vivida has nothing to do with the Shamataka jewel.
Who's the one who was wrestling with Krishna?
Jambavan.
Jambavan, right, that was another gorilla.
That's a bear. He was a bear. He was a bear.
Jambavan,
He was a bear.
a bear.
Anything?
That's a funny. It's a funny pastime. Jambavan. He killed the lion. He somehow or other obtained the Shamataka jewel and he gave it to his daughter. So then, because the lion had killed the person who had had the jewel before, Krishna came to try to get the jewel back. And he came to the cave and there was Jambavan's daughter with the jewel. So then Jambavan fought with Krishna, right?
Yes.
It's in the Krishna book. And then it's kind of an odd pastime because he's fighting with Krishna, but Krishna was pleased by the fight. He enjoyed that wrestling match with Jambavan. And then because Jambavan was pleasing Krishna by fighting with him, he began to recognize Krishna as Krishna,
Mhm.
right? By fighting with him, he pleased Krishna and then recognized Krishna as Krishna and then gave him the jewel. Sorry, I got him mixed up with Dravida, Jambavan, Dravida. But anyway, just another pastime.
Yeah.
Not to be about Balaram, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I didn't have to
Yeah,
do
go
a
ahead.
Balaram. Anybody else?
Jamuna Jaya wrote in the chat, I think she had to go for her class, but she said, I love the image of Balaram with his plow dragging things. The mercy of the spiritual master drags us to Krishna. Let us be dragged.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Jamuna Jaya, you're the best. That's so beautiful. Yes.
I remembered how Prabhupada described Lord Balaram as being a Sevak Bhagavan, being a Bhagavan who is in mood of service, showing. I was listening to a class of Radhanath Swami. He was explaining how Balaram is just personification of service and teaching all of us how to serve. And he's we can say, Adi servant of Krishna in this sense of service, of as his expansion, as his being he's non-different from Krishna. So it's very exemplary how he expands his as you described beautifully, as his paraphernalia, as holy dham, as spiritual world, basically all the time dealing with Lord Balaram here. Hare Krishna.
Okay, it's 8 o'clock. We're going to do Guru Puja. Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Champakalata Sakhi. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Champakalata Sakhi, Devi Dasi ki.
Prabhupada ki. I think I should probably leave the Zoom since Darshan won't be for some time. Or should I keep it on for Guru Puja and then turn the computer at?
No, that's fine. I think
Okay.
we'll miss Darshan today, but thank you so much for class.
Thank you so
And dear devotees, thank you so much. Bhagavatam is every day. So please remember Krishna.